In today's video, we're going to get into explaining the metro system here in Japan.
新宿渋谷方面行きが参ります。危ないですから黄色い線までお下がりください。
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Empathetic Wanderers. My name is Jeff, and on this channel I give you ways to deepen your travel experience here in Japan, hopefully access otherwise inaccessible situations in Tokyo and outside of Tokyo. And I feel like one of the best ways that you can do that is by beginning to understand how to get around. If you've ever been to Japan, you know that it's got world-class public transportation, and Tokyo's metro system is a great example of that. It is also a great example of a very, very overwhelming and confusing metro system if you have never been here. So once you get used to it, it makes total sense and it all works very well and it's all on time. But often a number of the stations are quite large, especially a number of the stations that most tourists end up at, be they Tokyo Station, Shinjuku Station, Shibuya Station. And so they can be really overwhelming and difficult ways to figure out. So I just wanted to make a video kind of explaining how to get around, a bit of the etiquette around being on a train, what you can expect, what you shouldn't do, what you should do, how much costs, what lines are where, and just kind of give you the ins and outs. So if you enjoy content like this, or if you just like content on Japan, if you're planning on going to Japan, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of the content that I'm putting out every single week. Let's get to the video. Alright, so one of the first things that you should know when you are coming to Japan and you're planning on using the public transit system is that at least the metro system within Tokyo is owned by many different companies. So in a lot of places, right, the country or the city owns the public transportation, and that's really convenient because you're able to get to all forms of public transportation from one station or one train. But in Japan, a lot of the different lines are owned by different companies. So one of the things that you'll realize when you get here is you do actually have to often leave, so go through a turnstile when you're transferring, because in order to get to a certain place, you may need to take two separate companies' trains. It's very easy, it's very simple, but it can be a little bit confusing, especially if you're coming from a place where they're all kind of connected and you would never have to do that. The main line that many tourists use when they are here in Tokyo is the Yamanote line. The Yamanote line is a JR line which is owned by Tokyo Metro, which is just one of the companies that operate transportation services here in Tokyo, and it is a very convenient line because it goes in a circle. So if you get on the wrong one, theoretically you could just keep going and you would eventually get to the destination you want. It takes about an hour, so you definitely don't want to do that. And if you realize you've done that, you want to probably get off and go back the other way. But it is a circle, so it is quite easy. And all of the basic major stops are on that line. On top of that, when you're traveling on the Yamanote line, you'll also be able to take many other lines like the Ginza line or the Marunouchi line. There's a bunch of lines that you can use, and it's really just too difficult for me to like explain every single one because there are so many. But the point is, especially within Tokyo specifically, you will either be taking the JR line, the Toei line, you might take Keio, you might take Seibu, you might take Tokyu or Odakyu. Those are all separate lines, but they all connect at different stations. And so one of the first most important things that you should do is get a Metro card. So get a Passmo card, which I will go into a little bit in this video of how to get a Passmo card or a Suica card. Those are the rechargeable cards that you're able to put money onto. And it just makes things a lot easier. If you have to go into every station and get a ticket, like an actual paper ticket, which you can do, you can do it, but it just adds another layer of difficulty because every single line has different ticket machines. And so you theoretically would have to get multiple tickets. And so if you just get a Passmo card or a Suica card, put some money on it, you can just use that and it's a lot easier. You can also use it at convenience stores. Some restaurants even accept it. So it's definitely a really convenient thing to have. All right, so when you walk up to the little ticket machine, you're just gonna immediately go to obviously English. Then you'll just go to Passmo here, which is the card that is rechargeable. So that's right, purchasing a new Passmo. And then this is for if you want to register your card to you, so that if you lose it, you can get like the money back. But if you're just visiting, you don't really need to do that. You can just do general user, and then you're gonna insert how much you want. 1,000 yen is about 10 US dollars, and then 500 of it will be for the card itself. So you'll just have to know that you'll have to be paying for that. I already have one of these, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to add money to your Passmo card if you, once you already have it. It's super easy, and you can use it to pay for like a lot of things at like vending machines, in convenience stores, lots of things except Passmo cards as a form of payment. All right, so when you are recharging, obviously again, you'll just hit English. And then you're just gonna go to Passmo, and then you're just gonna go to charge or balance, and then you're just gonna put your Passmo card in the correct way. And I'm just gonna put in, no, I only have 466. I'm just gonna put in 2,000. Put it in all at once. And then it will just spit your card back out. Very easy. I've come to a lot of machines like this, which are just, normal vending machines. And a lot of restaurants have this too, where you'll see this little pad right here that says Passmo, or it might say Suica, which is just a rechargeable card that you can use to pay for things. So basically, I'm just gonna get this, Hikari Sweat, and then it will start blinking. I card on it. This is a Passmo card that you use for the Metro, and the drink comes out. So you can use this card for pretty much anything, convenience stores, all that stuff. On top of that, I'm gonna link my video for getting a SIM card here in Japan. Having internet here obviously makes things super easy and helpful, but especially getting on public transportation. I'm not sure why this is, but Google Maps here is like way better than in the United States. So it will tell you like which car to get in on the metro. It will tell you like which, exit to walk out of, because a lot of these stations are quite large, and so they can be a little bit overwhelming. And so having the like specific directions is super, super, super helpful. One thing to be aware of is that there are multiple different not speeds of trains, but there are multiple different types of trains. So there's like express, semi-express, special express, local. There's like all these different like types that stop at different places. So just be aware of that. When you go on Google Maps and it tells you which one to take, make sure that you look to see if it says local, because if you get on an express train, you're probably going to pass the station that you are intending to go to. But it's just something to be aware of. And honestly, just don't worry. It's pretty overwhelming. It does work. The reality is I get lost in some stations here. My friends who have lived there here in Japan their entire lives get lost in these stations. Some of them are very large. Tokyo Station, Shibuya Station, Shinjuku Station, they're all massive stations. And so I used to characterize them as like these small tiny train stations, and I think that kind of like warped my understanding of how I would be able to navigate them. But they are quite large, so a lot of them are quite large. So definitely rely on having that SIM card. Definitely rely on having a Passmo card, getting a Suica card, and make sure that you know that you can go to information booths. So especially at any of the big stations like Tokyo Station or Shinjuku Station or Shibuya Station, there are usually like proper information like kiosks where the people will likely speak English, or if not, they'll speak a little bit of English. But even at like where the turnstiles are, where you get onto when you go into the station, there's always going to be an office with people there. And even if they don't speak English, which oftentimes they won't, especially at smaller stations, if you can show them the station that you want to go to, or if you can kind of, say basic things, they're going to be able to help you. They're going to be able to direct you in the right way, and they'll do their best to get you where you need to go. The reality is that there's always someone that wants to help here in Japan, so don't worry about it. But definitely, figure out where you're going before you get there, especially if you don't have Wi-Fi. But definitely try and get a SIM card. It's very easy, and it's fairly inexpensive. So check out my video on that. I give kind of like a whole breakdown on how to do that, how much it costs, all that stuff, the language associated and stuff like that. You just need to make sure that your phone is unlocked, which you can just call your provider and make sure that it is. But other than that, it's a fairly simple situation. And then just to go into a couple other helpful tips, especially when you come to a place like Shinjuku Station, which is where a lot of foreigners end up when they first come to Tokyo. It's where I first ended up, and it's where a number of my friends have stayed when they've come to Tokyo, is that there's a lot of very convenient things to have. One of the first things, though, that you should know about Japanese etiquette is that in Tokyo, on the left-hand side is where you stand on an escalator, on the right-hand side is where you walk down. One of the very nice things is that in a lot of stations around Japan, there are coin lockers where you can, usually for like about $5, you can store your bags, which is super helpful, especially if you're taking a train and you're leaving and you want to store one of your pieces of luggage. Another important thing to know is that smoking is designated to certain areas, so there are smoking areas like this. When you get onto crowded metros, it's kind of a polite custom to put your backpack on in front of you rather than behind you. You'll notice that a lot of people, like the guy here, will be doing that. Another important thing to know is how you line up for the metro. So there's always going to be a place for you to line up for the next train, and then there's a line for the train after that. So as you can see here, the blue lining is for the people that are getting directly on the train, and then the green line is for the people that are waiting for the next train. So if it ever looks like it's very busy, you can always wait in that second line to wait for the next train. And then on all trains in Tokyo, it is very quiet. As you can see here, it's expected that people don't talk very loud, and that you're not on the phone, and that you're not listening to music that's too loud, and everyone's very, very quiet. And then just the one last thing, and I'm going to go into a full video on Japan Rail Passes in the future. I will link that to this video once it's up. But if you do have a Japan Rail Pass, there are specific trains that you can take because of kind of what I mentioned about different companies existing that own different lines. So when you do, if you do get the Japan Rail Pass, which is it's a very good deal for people that are here on a tourist visa, which is, you know, anyone that's visiting, it is only for certain lines. So just be aware of that when you're getting that if you decide to take a different one that maybe goes to a different part of Tokyo, you may still have to pay for a ticket. All right, so that wraps up the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. Let me know in the comments below if there was anything I didn't explain super well, or if there was anything that I could have gone into better detail with, especially if some of you that are watching are living here in Tokyo and there's any insight that you can give anyone else watching, because it can be such a profoundly confusing situation. I go to Shinjuku Station quite often, and I live here, and I still get so confused sometimes. I have friends that are from here and they say the same thing. So it's definitely a kind of an overwhelming experience, but it's definitely, there's always someone that will help you. So don't stress out about it. Let me know if you're having any trouble with getting there, or let me know in the comments if you have any questions about getting on a train or what to do in certain situations. If you enjoy content like this, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the Japan content that I'm putting out every single week. I appreciate you watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Let's just keep being empathetic, keep wandering, keep spreading positivity, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. All right, so the first one here is just gonna be, it's nice to meet you. It's nice to meet you in Mandarin is 很高兴认识你。很高兴认识你。